Let's go ahead and start off with Mr. William Ospreay of Osprayington, wherever the heck he's from, Europe, wait, England. He's royalty. Well, he is the greatest wrestler to date, but not many would agree with this right now, especially if you're a WWE fan. So, Will Ospreay in the Daily Star, I'll go ahead and throw this up on the screen so y'all can read it as well. He had a whole lot to say about WWE, and I'm actually going to go step by step with this instead of, just reading the entire thing and then making all my comments on it. He says, I think it's a bit of both, to be honest with you. I think deep down we know WWE is a machine. It's an animal. They're in giant stadiums and they're doing so good, but a lot of people will look at us and just say, we're doing it wrong because WWE are doing this. No, there's different ways of doing it, and I think he's 100% correct when saying this. And this is a comment that I feel like has to be just said so many times now by AEW fans, by fans of any other company, especially when WWE has gone to like quote unquote wars with these companies, whether it be TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan, etc. There are different ways for every company to do things. Like New Japan has a lot of quiet crowds. Someone would look at New Japan and be like, oh, well, the fans aren't into it because they're so quiet. No, that's just a New Japan thing. And then you look at AEW and you see smaller venues and you're like, oh, they're not successful. They're nowhere near as even big as like NXT. Well, AEW has now started finding its way of having smaller venues that have much more beautiful looks, so that like when you're watching it on TV, it's not just about the wrestling now it's about the look as well of the entire stadium. This past Dynamite and Collision, it looked absolutely beautiful in the venue they were in. I loved seeing the moment with Toni Storm where she's up on that little like balcony area. I forgot the exact wording for it, but I really loved that moment right there. It felt like Toni Storm's character was even more on display with this moment. Then we have Mercedes Moné and Jamie Hayter coming down from that area as well. And don't get me wrong, I think WWE stadiums look fine. They don't ever really look like the most interesting, though. I'm more just interested on what's happening in the ring or what's happening with the stories rather than I am on the way like the stadium looks. It just looks like a regular like sports arena, and it's cool. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing by any means, but everybody has their own ways of doing it. I think WWE fans, they love seeing the large crowd there. For me, I'm just like, especially because I would never want to go to a WWE live event because I would be just in a horrible place because of anxiety and all kind of things like that. Now, Will Ospreay had a whole lot more to say because the next thing he says is, I got into WWE when I was a kid, but when I became a teenager, I just thought it was lame. There were certain guys I enjoyed. Eddie Guerrero was one, Edge was another, Randy Orton sick, but after a while, I was just like, this is pantomiming. I'm bored. It's the same stuff. It's recycled and it's over and over again. And every now and again, you'd get something cool like the CM Punk pipe bomb promo. Every now and again you get something like, whoa, that was sick, and WWE are on fire right now. But I still, as not only just a viewer but as a wrestler, I don't enjoy it. I don't know why anyone's mad about this, because I feel like if Will Ospreay was just a random dude that grew up on the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression era, y'all would all love what he said, because he said exactly what those fans be saying all the time, and nobody goes at them for saying that. Nobody says like, oh, like you're wrong, or oh, you can't say that, or they start taking away like they start like judging their character and stuff like that. Like nobody says that. So I don't really get why we're mad about Will Ospreay saying that. And for Will Ospreay, like he said, that it's not just as a fan, it's a wrestler. It's not his style that he's into. And I don't think it's an issue. I think AEW and WWE have very much so different styles of wrestling. So isn't this what literally every WWE fan says? Isn't this what literally every Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression era fans say, that WWE is not as good as it once was, that, the characters aren't that great anymore, the top stars aren't that great anymore, they don't really feel like top stars, they just feel like to me. Yeah, I don't know why anybody's mad at Will Ospreay for saying this, because this is exactly what all y'all be saying anyways. Go be mad at them before you're mad at Will Ospreay. Like, I feel like a lot of folks are only mad about this point because it is Will Ospreay and he's in AEW. Another thing, too, you have to remember is that he says right here, I got into WWE when I was a kid, but when I became a teenager, I just thought it was lame. And then later in this, he says, as not only just a viewer, but as a wrestler, I just don't enjoy it. You have to remember that Will Ospreay became a wrestler as a teenager. I think it was like 12, 13, 14 when he started wrestling. I think he had his first wrestling match against Kenny Omega at like 15, 16. So he's always been into this style of wrestling. This has always been for him, not the style that WWE is doing. So it would make sense that he's not into a lot of the things. And let's be real, The big one right here is he says, and every now and again you get something cool like the CM Punk pipe bomb promo. Every now and again something like, whoa, that was sick, and WWE is on fire right now. A lot of y'all have said that, what is that? Like like the PG era 08 to, I guess you could probably say now, but let's say to like Cody came back. So like 2020, 2021. Didn't most of y'all say the PG era was just whatever? Don't y'all call 2019 the worst year, 2018 the worst year, 2020 the worst year, 2021 the worst year? Like, y'all call all these years bad. So it's like, I don't really get why you're so mad at Will Ospreay saying it when every single one of y'all said it. Heck, y'all say that 2012 through 2016 was bad. And it's like, whoa, those are some really great years in my opinion. Shield, you had Daniel Bryan stuff, you had AJ Styles, you had a lot of amazing things there. So I don't really get it. But let's go ahead and keep on continuing because Will Ospreay had a lot more to say. This guy loves to talk just like me, man. That's why I like Will Ospreay a lot too. He says, I haven't watched WrestleMania. What I've heard is it isn't the best Mania. Maybe like Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair was the only sick match on there, which the three of them are sick. Three of the best wrestlers, period. But for me, I just never was a WWE guy. I respect it, and I respect the guys doing it. That schedule is like crazy, and I commend them all for doing it. I just didn't like it. I don't like the show. I don't like the style of wrestling. I don't like the presentation. It's gotten better. I love the one shot that they've been doing, but I just have never been a fan of it. So that's why when AEW came along and they went with more like a sports-based style of it, it was something that I could sink my teeth into. First of all, shout out to Will Ospreay for bigging up the women, because my goodness, wrestling fans just don't like to big up women. So shout out to Will Ospreay here for this for sure. But once again, y'all all said the exact same thing, that it wasn't a good WrestleMania. So why are you mad at Will Ospreay for uttering the exact same sentiments that so many of y'all have uttered? Y'all said that Rhea Bianca Io was probably the best match of the entire WrestleMania. He said the exact same thing. He said that they're all absolutely sick, which if that's the case, they need to get some Claritin Clear or some Mucinex or something. But like, I mean, I just don't have a problem really with a lot of what he said so far still. I don't think he said anything crazy. He's just continuing to utter the sentiment of that he just doesn't really care for WWE style of wrestling. It's not for him, and it does let us know probably also why he didn't go to WWE, that it wasn't just the whole schedule thing, that it was also the style thing, because he was definitely going to be limited. If you look at AJ Styles upon entering WWE, much different than he was in New Japan. If you look at a guy like Shinsuke Nakamura, Finn Balor, Io Sky, Asuka, Kairi Sane, and a whole bunch of others, they all look more limited in WWE than they do in other places. And for Will Ospreay, maybe that was just a thing that he did not want to have happen. He wanted to show off that he is the best wrestler, that he is a generational type wrestler. When you talk about some of the greatest wrestlers that have ever graced the match, it's AJ Styles, it's Kenny Omega, it's Will Ospreay, it's Tanahashi, it's Kurt Angle, it's you could even throw Shinsuke Nakamura in there as well. It's starting to become Konosuke Takeshita. Like, there are very few wrestlers who have touched the match and have actually been as generational as some of these guys are. And I think Will Ospreay wants to go down as one of those wrestlers. I think going into WWE, he probably would get lost within WWE, or at least he would not get lost in a sense, but it's like, over time, we probably wouldn't talk about him as much as we do, like, going forward once he ever does finish wrestling and all that stuff. We're going to talk about him in, like, 10, 20 years as being one of the greatest wrestlers ever. I think within WWE, we'll just talk about him as being one of the greatest WWE wrestlers ever, but not, like, just one of the greatest wrestlers. Like, AJ Styles, we're not going to really talk about his WWE career in like 20, 30 years. We're just not going to do it. We're going to talk about TNA, AJ Styles. We're going to talk about New Japan, AJ Styles. Same thing with Finn Balor. Same thing with Shinsuke Nakamura. And a lot of these others who have gone to WWE after leaving Japan. So I think that's just what it is for Will Ospreay. Now, he had a little more to say. This is the part that I think a lot of WWE fans don't like. And here's where I can say that before I even get into it, I do 100% understand why you don't like it. But I also understand that this is just a confidence thing and not so much of a hatred thing in a sense. But it is a bit of hate, I will say that. So he says, of course, I respect WWE and I admire everyone there. And a lot of people think I hate Triple H. I really don't. I've never met the guy in my life. But for me, there's always this little bit of rivalry where I'll just be like, yeah, you guys are the biggest. Yeah, you guys are drawing the bigger houses. Yeah, you guys got the bigger deals. But the moment the bell rings, I think I think we're better than all of them. I think, honestly, on my worst day, I'm better than a lot of their guys in ring promos. In ring and then promos. It's really odd right here, like the wording of this whole sentence right here. But, well, it's actually multiple sentences that are broken up. But promos, you guys got a bunch of guys. Punk's sick. Roman Reigns is sick. There's still things I need to catch up on. But in ring, I generally don't think there's anyone from that side that matches any of our guys. Okay, let me say this. If you go just 1-to-1, I do think AEW probably would take it. If you just threw out two random wrestlers like Bianca Belair and Sky Blue, Bianca Belair clears Sky Blue. That's not even an argument. Like, come on, man. Bianca Belair is one of the greatest wrestlers in the world right now. Io Sky probably does clear Toni Storm in ring. That's not even a probably. Io Sky clears Toni Storm in ring. So it's like, when you compare, just like 1-to-1, if we start going like, Will Ospreay versus Seth, we go Swerve Strickland versus Roman, etc., now you get more for AEW, but you still have a couple guys on WWE side that definitely can go bar for bar with AEW. But if you just throw out random names, it's not going to work at all. So I understand why people are upset by that point, and he's definitely... He definitely being a little cocky there. I ain't gonna lie to you. But he was also trying, ruffle some feathers as well. And I'm not even mad at it, man, because Seth Rollins said the exact same thing a few years ago where he said that I wouldn't trade any of our guys. He said I wouldn't trade any guy from AEW. Well, he said that company to our company when it's like, really, Seth Rollins? You wouldn't want Swerve Strickland over in WWE? You wouldn't want Toni Storm in WWE. You wouldn't want Jon Moxley back in WWE. Like, come on, man. And mind you, I think WWE fans should be more mad at Seth Rollins than not Will Ospreay, because it's like, you just basically said you don't want Jon Moxley back, even though Jon Moxley's your guy, and there's been a bunch of conflicting reports about Jon Moxley and Seth Rollins' relationship ever since Jon Moxley did go to AEW. So it's like, I don't understand why so many people are mad at, like, Will Ospreay for it. I mean, well, I know why people are mad at Will Ospreay for this, but I'm also glad that Will Ospreay did do a very big thing here, which was clearing the air on the Triple H stuff. Because, see, my job is never going to be in trouble no matter what I say. I can come on here and say the craziest things about Triple H. Folks are going to hate me for it, but other than that, I'm not going to, like, lose any kind of potential, deals with WWE, because I was never looking for a WWE deal to begin with. I'm not going to burn that bridge, because that bridge was never being built. Will Ospreay, while he is in AEW right now, there is a bridge that is between him and WWE that he could one day cross. For a while, though, that bridge was burning. He did put out the fires, though, with this bridge, and I think he basically let WWE know that if you guys, if anything ever happened with AEW, or if there ever needed to be, like, any kind of, like, partnerships or anything like that, there's not really going to be any issues between me and Triple H. Now, him and Seth Rollins, I have no clue about them dang issues. He ain't cleared that up at all. Him and Seth Rollins might have a stiff match if these guys ever wrestled, man. Oh my gosh. We're going to go into this match thinking like it's going to be like a 5-star classic, and here just goes some hard. They gonna get some hard punches in. That one kick that Shawn Michaels gave to The Rock, we're gonna see Seth Rollins definitely do that. Little Tiger Driver might be a little extra hard. Oh my god. He can't do the Tiger Driver. Nope. Tiger Driver and Curb Stomp need to be banned in this match. They're not allowed to do it because I don't want to see anything happen that could possibly happen. So yeah, no. Now the pedigree, go ahead and do that. The cutter, go ahead and do that. Also, Will Ospreay and Cody Rhodes definitely need to have a cutter battle, because Cody Rhodes definitely does owe Will Ospreay for sure, because yeah, he took that cutter from him. Most definitely. It was not from Randy. That was Will's. But nah, I just think that, like, there's some cockiness in here for sure. And if you're mad at Will Ospreay, I want you to remember something right now. Will Ospreay is an Englishman. This is how probably 90% of Englishmen are. This is exactly how I expect them to be. I know very few people from Europe, but I felt like if I met a few folk from Europe, like, this is exactly how I would expect them to be, because this is how I see them on TikTok all the time. Every single time, they sound so cocky. I just got a British dude on TikTok talking about man, forget the 100 men versus gorilla. How about 100 British folk versus 100 American folk? Like, oh my God. And they start saying that he'll wipe the floor. Like, come on, man. This is, I don't want to say it's all of them, because, like, it feels like so stereotyping, but, like, this is what a lot of people portray that British people are, and he's just playing into it. I think Will Ospreay is in character a lot more often than he's really not, because this is Will Ospreay's character. If you ever wondered what it was, it is the cocky European dude. I had to move my camera over a little bit. It is the cocky European dude. That's what Will Ospreay's character is going to be, probably until he becomes a heel. Maybe he changes it up as a face at some point in time later on down the line, but for the most part, I think it's just him going to be like this, and that's perfectly fine in my opinion. So yeah, I feel like this whole entire thing with Will Ospreay and WWE was just a lot of folks reaching. I think that, you know, if you're like discrediting the dude's character, if you're discrediting him in the ring by saying he doesn't have great ring psychology, first of all, could you even actually explain what the hell ring psychology is? If you can't, then just please shut up. In-ring storytelling, again, if you can't explain that, then please just shut up. And if you don't know Will Ospreay personally, like you never met the man in person, then once again, please shut up. Like when I say that, like, he's portraying the stereotype of British folk, I don't know a lot, or yes, European folk. I don't know a lot of European folks, so I don't know exactly how they act, but he's playing the character exactly the same way that Street Profits are playing stereotypical black dudes. They're playing the character the exact same way that Thunder Rosa plays a stereotypical Hispanic woman. She is playing the character the same way that Io Sky and Julia and all of them play a stereotypical Japanese woman. This is what wrestling has done for many, many years now, is that a lot of people will play into the stereotypes of their race because it's the easiest way to show off their character. Look at Becky Lynch, look at Drew McIntyre, look at Roman Reigns, look at Jey Uso, look at Jacob Fatu, look at all of these guys. They're playing into their character. So I think take Will Ospreay with a grain of salt, because AEW, unlike WWE for the most part, they still kind of do it sometimes, but for the most part, AEW keeps kayfabe even outside of AEW. This is a very old tactic that WWE used a lot of times until it got them in a bit of trouble as well, so that's why they stopped doing it, which I understand. But AEW has a lot of their wrestlers stay in character. Look at Tony Storm in interviews with Muscle Man. I think Muscle Man Marcus is his name. Look at Ricochet online. Look at Will Ospreay in interviews. Like they're still in character for the most part. Now go look at a lot of WWE wrestlers when they're in interviews, when they're doing post show press conferences and all that. A lot of times they're not always in character. And that's because WWE has kind of started going into that more Hollywood kind of thing where it's like, you know, you can talk about your character openly. You can talk about stories openly, and it shouldn't ruin the product because it's actually just furthering the product. That way you can, you know, cater to the fans that aren't the avid watchers. They're not watching every single Monday, every single Friday. Maybe they're not the most knowledgeable of wrestling fans, so they don't understand the characters that well. Well, now they're able to explain the characters the exact same way a movie and a TV show would explain them. Think of it like if you're a big anime fan, think of it like the Naruto wiki, the One Piece wiki, the Bleach wiki. It breaks down the entire character, it breaks down all these, you know, big moments for the character, little moments for the character. That's what WWE is basically doing right now with a lot of their interviews and all that stuff. It's like a Wikipedia for the wrestler, for the characters, etc. AEW, on the other hand, they still are trying to keep kayfabe as much alive as possible by having their wrestlers be the exact same way they would in AEW, outside of it as well, so on social media, interviews, etc. So yeah, no, all in all, I don't really have too much of an issue with what Will Ospreay said. I understand the cocky part could definitely get to people, and if you personally don't like cocky people, I mean, that's fine, but just, you know, probably say you're not a fan of Roman Reigns then, and CM Punk, and a whole bunch of others, like Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair, because that's also their characters as well. Bianca goes around calling her the quickest, the fastest, the roughest, the toughest, the strongest, the whatever else there is. So yeah, I would just say that.